Part 2. Azure Moon. Garland Moon. The Golden Deer's Plea. The Kingdom Army has reclaimed the Kingdom capital and plans to immediately begin restoring the country and its forces. But an unexpected request arrives from Claude, leader of the Leicester Alliance. Dimitri promptly responds to the request for aid, and he rushes to prepare the Kingdom's forces.
We have received a request for aid from the Alliance. They are being invaded by the Empire. We have only just taken back Ferdiad, and yet I am already asking all of you to move out once more. Please accept my apologies for that.
That's no problem at all. More importantly, how is the Alliance faring?
House Regan has rallied the Alliance Lords. They are facing the enemy with all the strength they can muster. But we do not know how far that will get them. It seems the enemy's relentless attacks have forced them into a tough situation. Their defeated Gronders severely weakened the Alliance. I imagine the Empire now intends to destroy them before they can recover.
To think they'd watch us chase their soldiers out of the Kingdom capital, then immediately go invade the Alliance. Their general is Lord Volkard von Arundel. He serves as regent to the Emperor. He has presumably taken command after the Emperor was wounded in Gronder.
He is known for his shrewdness and excels not only in domestic affairs, but tactics as well. He is not an opponent we should take lightly. Lord Arundel. I always suspected that Lord Arundel was behind the tragedy 9 years ago. The timing of his departure from the Kingdom, the fact that he abruptly stopped making donations, too many factors made him suspect. If Lord Arundel conspired with Cornelia, then what Kronya and the others said 5 years ago? Well, never mind that for now. The Alliance needs our help. What are your thoughts?
If we turn our back on the Alliance and then dare Drew Falls, it will undoubtedly make our situation difficult further down the road. We would have enemies in two directions, in the Alliance to the northeast, and in the Empire to the south.
That is true. In that scenario, we would not be able to safely march our soldiers to Enbar.
I am terribly worried about Lady Rhea, but I believe we must save the Alliance first. Oh, maybe if we do this, the Alliance will help us out in return. We could ask them to help us attack the Empire. You know, a sneak attack or something.
Annie, when did you become so devious?
What would your mother think?
What? It wasn't that devious.
What do you think, Professor?
Yes, I agree. I will admit that there is something to be gained for us as well, for when we eventually march south. But far more importantly, they need us. We cannot turn our backs on them. We will arrange to head out at once. Prepare yourselves, everyone.
Hey, sorry for the wait, Professor. Thank you so much. What a wonderful aroma. I see. Yeah. Wow. Wow. I'm in a bit of trouble with a girl right now. Although, I can't think of a time when that hasn't been the case. Thank you for the treat, Professor. I'd like to do this again sometime.
Right.
Professor!
Hey you, listen up. I've got something to report. I hear Deirdre is our next objective. Small world. That's actually where I grew up. It's a great place.
So, the army runs you ragged, marches you from place to place, prodding you to fight. They promised me 3 meals a day. They'd have to give a lot more than that to get me to sign on. I'd rather starve down here than deal with that.
People have always fought, I guess. Bandits and nobles clashing over territory, things like that. So before the war, when folks talked about how peaceful everything was, I thought, what continent are you living on? I get it now. A few isolated skirmishes here and there are nothing compared to a full-blown war. The one truly peaceful place I've known was the village where I grew up.
So, the king who came back from hell, defeated the tyrant and liberated the people. It's like something out of a poetic saga. At least those in need will see it as such. It isn't like the poor need some lofty air basking in glory. What they need is someone who can ease their woes, keep them fed, things like that. How they view such a king all depends on his ability to provide for them. All things considered, I imagine Dimitri will do a fine job at it.
Professor, I was most relieved to hear that no one at the School of Sorcery was harmed. They are capable people who bear Fodlan's future on their shoulders. We can afford to lose none of them. Yes, the future of magic is bright, though it would be brighter if my own house's future was guaranteed. The Alliance is next on our agenda, yes? Watch carefully for my dazzling spellcraft.
It's happened. The Alliance is now little more than a battlefield. I guess that was inevitable. So far, Albrecht territory has remained unscathed, but that will last forever. I appreciate the sentiment, pal, but we can't just rush into this thing. Let's make sure we're ready, yeah? We're short on time, but we have to go in prepared. If we lose this, we lose everything. The stakes are too damn high.
Okay.
That's right. Didn't they used to call Claude the Master Tactician? I want a nickname too. Maybe I'll get one if I can rescue him at Deirdre. I'll come up with a plan that's even better than his and earn a nickname for sure.
What do you think?
If you travel east from the Alliance and cross Fodlan's Throat, you enter the land of Almyra. House Goneril's territory touches the eastern border of the Alliance. They also have Lord Holst, the most valiant warrior in the Alliance. Tasked with keeping watch over the Almyrans' movements, he rarely leaves Goneril territory.
The Alliance leader is too demanding, and the prince is too soft-hearted, don't you think? They spilled much of each other's blood at Gronder. I lost a lot of friends to the Alliance. Sorry, I shouldn't complain. I know this is tactically sound. Everyone seems on board with it, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any misgivings.
Professor!
What do you think?
What do you think? Remember the Death Knight who stabbed me 5 years ago? Of course you do. How could you forget? Well, it turns out he's a general in the Imperial Army, claiming victories on dozens of battlefields. But it looks like he's not at Deirdre. Like every man in my life, he's run away from me. And he better run. One day I'm gonna find that guy and pay him back for what he did to me.
Well, what do you think?
Speaking of with the capital recaptured, I desire to call him Your Majesty rather than Your Highness. He would refuse my desire, rightfully pointing out that he has not as yet been crowned. However, the day this war is ended and the Church has placed the crown upon his head, then he will truly be our king, and I will call him Your Majesty at last. I must go hear the reports from our spies. There is something worrying me, and... No, it can wait. I shall tell you more when our information is more concrete.
I thought there was a chance that Cornelia had captured Lady Rhea, but it seems that is not the case. Our next foe, Lord Arundel, was once a pious adherent to the Seros Creed. His contributions to the Church stopped quite abruptly some time ago. I think it is likely the man knows something.
You plan to aid Claude, do you not? Huh, I think that is absolutely marvelous. Being opposing forces at the Battle of Gronder was ill-fated. It hurt to side against him. I am happy that things have taken a brighter turn now.
Cornelia Arnhem. That's a familiar name, yes. She once studied in the Empire. My understanding is, shortly after I left the Empire, she did as well. Unlike myself, Cornelia traveled to the kingdom. Apparently, she halted a plague and was rewarded with a quite powerful appointment. That such an outstanding researcher should fall to such depravity. Sickening, Professor, and quite sad.
Even if we do enter Alliance territory, we're not gonna find Lady Rhea there. I wish we could leave Claude be and go attack the Empire. I suppose if we can't beat the Empire forces here, then we can't get into the Empire lands, can we? I guess that just means it's hard work time, huh, Professor?
Hey, you.
Hello there! Using the Great Bridge of Myrddin as a base, we'll spread out and cover as much ground as possible in our search for Her Grace. Judging by the information we've gathered, the most suspicious location is definitely the Imperial capital, the Hrym territory, whose leader is a mere puppet, and the Eyre territory, whose leader was deposed and disappeared. The Empire has a lot of places with suspicious happenings. It's certainly worth investigating. But it won't do to take too much time in relieving the Alliance army. Please, hurry.
So House Regan has regained its influence in the Alliance and is gathering forces. Claude always was somewhat inscrutable. It's strange somehow to hear talk of his brilliance as the leader of the Alliance.
The pro-imperialist lords who have let the Empire in have their hands tied. Houses Ardelia and Gloucester are exposed and likely caught off guard. That must mean that Claude's allies are... Geographically, it would be hard for him to commit his forces, and logically, it wouldn't make sense for him to offer support. Whatever the situation, Claude's military strength is lacking, and what's more, they suffered casualties at Gronder Field. I don't know how long the Alliance forces will be able to hold out against the Empire. We've got to move quickly, or we may be too late.
Pardon me.
Dimitri is going to Claude's aid. How great is that? It's like we've gone back to how things were 5 years ago. It's so nice. Just imagine if 80 was there too. I suppose you can't ever really go back to the way things were in the past.
So, listen.
I heard that Deirdre is under attack. I hope Judith is all right. She may be the hero of Daphne, but facing the might of the Empire? I wish there was something more I could do. But I can only pray and hope.
Hello there.
Please? Hey, you. You know...
We're still searching for Lady Rhea. No news on that, I'm afraid. Lord Arundel, the Emperor's uncle, is the regent of the Empire. If we crush them at Deirdre, maybe we'll capture him and wring some clues out of him.
I was getting excited for our big Empire showdown. I spent so much time mentally preparing. Then we shifted focus to Deirdre. I hadn't been expecting that. But, as a knight who's sworn to serve the goddess, I cannot turn a blind ear to those who seek my aid.
Deirdre, the aquatic capital. I've heard it's a magnificent city, you know? If we're going, I wish it wasn't to wage war. It'd be more fun to visit with a cute girl on my arm. Yeah? Maybe you and me? That'd be a good reason to survive the war.
Hey,
Let's see, it was over 20 years ago. There was an illness raging across Ferdiad, while people were dying left and right. It was Cornelia who saved the kingdom from that dreadful illness. No, I hear she was originally an imperial scholar. She was in the kingdom by my father's invitation. People praised Cornelia as a saint for ending the epidemic. But there came a day when she completely changed. Her behavior, mannerisms, likes, dislikes, everything. Despite all that, Father still appointed her to a high post. After all, she had saved the kingdom from ruin by that disease. But above all, my stepmother trusted her. That's why what that woman said is... Never mind.
Lord Rodrigue Fraldarius has passed on. Margrave Gautier has assumed his position and is now gathering the lords of the Eastern Territories. House Gautier is equal in prestige to House Fraldarius. Sylvain is a Gautier. These lords are reorganizing the Fargus army and eradicating any remaining factions that claim allegiance to the Empire. Of course, His Highness is being kept apprised with regular reports, but it falls to me to monitor him and ensure he does not try to take on too much. I would ask you to do the same. If you take your eyes off that man, even for a moment, he is liable to do something rash.
Professor? Greetings, Professor. Nothing to report. Deirdre is known as the aquatic capital. It's a beautiful town with streets that seem to float on the water and an impressive harbor. In times of peace, it would be a wonderful place for a holiday. Anyway, best of luck in the next battle.
Really now? There's unrest. I hope that... Hey, how about a favor?
Hey! We can't actually join you on the battlefield, but rest assured that we're there in spirit. We're doing everything we can to support the army, so give it your all out there.
Hello there.
Speaking of which... Deirdre, huh? I've always wanted to go there. In Fargus, most of the towns are pretty much glorified fortresses. So, to hear about a place called the Aquatic Capital, it just sounds so elegant. When the war's over, I hope I can visit with everyone there.
I went to visit my adoptive father at his home in the capital. He used to grovel at Cornelia's feet when the city was under her control. But after it was liberated, he started courting the kingdom instead. Absolutely. He's hopeless. I suppose when you're a merchant, that's all you know. No matter what becomes of the world, it'll always be plagued by people like him.
Claude, eh? He always was sharp among his peers. Never let himself get caught up in conventions. He wasn't typical in Fodlan. I'd like to save him if we can. I know. And I'm sure he's already calculated exactly when that will be.
A hungry hero is no better than a well-fed soldier. Do you know that saying? No? That's because I just made it up. If you're hungry, you're never going to be at full strength. Keep your belly full and stay strong. Claude. Which one was he again? Oh, right. Yeah, of course I remember him. It's just, I can't picture his face. Don't remember what he looks like. I'm not sure if I ever knew.
Right.
Professor!
So war finally comes to the Alliance territories. I don't mean that there's never been fighting on Alliance soil, of course. There have been countless skirmishes between neighboring lords, as well as conflicts with Elmyra. But this is an invasion by an army of the Empire. It's a whole different animal. I don't want to see my family get dragged into this. I hope we can drive back the Empire.
Professor, it'll take a little while yet for the capital to be restored to its former glory. But it's not dead yet. Doesn't matter how many times you put the people of Ferdiad down. They'll get right back up again. Just you watch. Before long, things will be back to how they were.
The very same night we liberated the capital, a messenger arrived from Deirdre. Claude must have predicted that we'd retake it. Claude's a hard person to read. It's obvious not much escapes his eye, though. Kind of unsettling, honestly.
My uncle gave me some of my father's belongings, weapons, books, but there was something else that my old man really wanted to pass down. He wanted me to inherit his mission, ensuring that Dimitri ascends the throne. Or so I believe.
Your Highness, thank you for everything.
This is sudden. Why so formal? You are not about to tell me you intend to leave the army, are you?
Oh no, it's not that. I just had the chance to return to the capital on military business. It had really been a long time. Life's pretty hard there right now, but its old vitality seems to be returning bit by bit. If it wasn't for you, I'm sure things wouldn't be looking so promising. So...
Come now, no need to exaggerate. Do not forget that I abandoned them and fled once as well.
You had no choice. If you had remained in the capital, you would have been killed. If you keep thinking so dark and gloomy, you're gonna end up looking just like Father.
Annette, you probably do not realize, but over those 5 years, I took many, many lives. I slaughtered generals and officials alike with brutality you would scarcely think a human was capable of. And as I have intensified my fight with the Empire, how many people have fallen in the capital? My hands are already dripping with blood. I cannot be forgiven.
You really are a lot more like Father than I am. Before Father left us, he used to say similar things. I don't want you to end up like him. So, I've been thinking, when this war is over, I was wondering whether I could help you with your work. Of course, I don't know how much I'd be able to support a king.
What are you saying?
If I leave you to your own devices, you'll forget how to laugh. We can't have that. You won't be able to do what you have to do with such a miserable look on your face. So, if you'll have me, I'd like to stay by your side. If you're sad or suffering, I'll just starve you until you muster a smile.
Starve me?
Hey, you weren't supposed to laugh at that part. I thought a lot about this.
Sorry, I could not help myself. Certainly with you around, I will not have any cause to frown. By all means, join me, Annette. And never lose that sweet smile of yours.
Yes, I promise.
Why'd you summon me so formally? Not going to confess your love, I hope.
I have something I must ask you.
That's a bit ominous. What is it?
Will you be going home?
Ah, that's what this is about.
There must be those who, even now, wait for you, believe in you. Now that Lord Lonato is dead, I can think of no one who would stop you from returning.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss my friends and family back in Fargus. But no, I'm not going back. The person I used to be no longer exists. The life of a noble, tied down by rules and etiquette? No thanks. Not for me. My future is here, with the Knights of Seros, as Thunder Catherine.
I understand. In fact, that is the answer I expected from you.
So why did you ask? 5 years ago, you chose to leave the Knights. I'm guessing you don't regret that choice.
I do not. But you have caused me to realize something about myself. The sight of you, swinging your sword to fulfill your duty, your birthplace left behind. It reminded me of my life before. Of the day I swore my vows, and was made knight to my king.
You think I'm just fulfilling my duty, huh? I'm not as virtuous as you make me out to be. I fight because I want to. That's it.
We are the same in that respect. On the day my liege bestowed upon me my sword, I knew protecting this man, fighting battles in his name, would be an irreplaceable joy. King, country, family, friends, beliefs. My list of what I longed to keep safe grew. Hence my realization. I did not become a knight so I could pray. I did so to fight.
It seems we've come to an agreement then. So what are we doing standing around here chatting?
Good point. We should end the idle talk. Will you spar with me, Catherine? I believe it is much too early for me to lay down my lance forever.
Now we're talking. Oh, also, Gilbert. You look much better, now that you have some fire in your eyes.
I am honored you think so.